Okay, so the article for today kicks off with a little sentence to set up our scene or our scenario. It says, Roxy and Shia arrive somewhere new. Wow, so they don't even know where they are. The time machine has just stopped traveling through time. I guess they throw open the door or something and say, where and when are we?
Yeah. Next, we can start with Roxy saying,
Okay.
We got away from that dinosaur, but where are we now?
There's the question.
Yeah, so remember last time we read about them, they traveled back millions of years ago and they saw a dinosaur, which is basically an animal that lived millions and millions of years ago, and they're very, very big and they're large, and they finally got away from that, but this time we don't know where they are. They don't even know where they are.
Interesting. So what do? Well, they start to look around and see what they can see. So what does Shia see? He says, look at that tree house. Wow, okay, so they see a tree house. That's something that's useful. It might give them some clues. But even better is, he next says, we built it. Maybe we're finally back home. All right. Well, that is a good clue because not only does he see a treehouse, it's a treehouse that he built. When you build something, you make something. And one of the things that people often make are buildings, homes, apartment buildings, office towers, that kind of thing. So if you have a bunch of wood and you have a nice big tree and you feel like building yourself a little bit of an extra house, you might want to build yourself a tree house, which is a simple wooden house built up in a tree. Generally, these are made by parents for kids to play around in. But these days, there are actually people who build real homes with everything you might imagine: windows, water, power up in a tree. But that's still fairly strange, kind of unusual.
I think it's kind of cool.
It's cool. I'd love one, but most people just build them out of a few extra basic pieces of wood for kids to play in up in the tree, up in their treehouse. And we also saw him say finally. Finally is a great adverb to use when you're talking about an action that comes at the end of many other actions, right? So you went to work, you had lunch, you had a meeting, you saw your friends, you went to see a movie, and finally you get to go home. So at the end of all of the action, this is what happens. We can also use it when we've been waiting a long time, right? Finally, the bus is coming. We've been waiting a long time. But it shows you that things are now going to end. So they're finally at home. After all that travel, going many places, they're back home. Yay!
Yay! Okay, Roxy then says, Shia, those cars are flying.
What?
We don't have flying cars.
Flying cars.
Yeah, so that is definitely something that we don't see right now. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, that is very strange. But flying cars are something we often see in movies or books as being in the future. So maybe that's where they are. Maybe they're in the future now. Anyways, Shia, he continues to look around and he says, look, those cars over there are driving by themselves. Again, something that we don't find in the modern world today, but maybe in the future. He notices the cars are strange because there's no one in the car telling the car where to go, controlling the car. If you're telling the car or guiding the car with your hands and feet and deciding where the car is going to go, you are driving the car. Drive, D-R-I-V-E. D-R-I-V-E is a noun or a verb, but here, of course, we're going to use it as a verb. As I mentioned earlier, if you are controlling a vehicle like a car, you are driving it. You're sitting at the front of the car. In Taiwan, probably on the left side, you have the wheel in front of you to control where the car goes, the direction, and you have the pedals. That's the things you control with your feet to control the speed of the car. You are driving the car. If you're sitting there, you're just riding in the car. You're a passenger. The driver is the one in charge of a car, a bus, a truck. You could also drive a motorcycle, but not, remember, an airplane. You don't drive an airplane. That's a different word. Driving is for basically things with wheels. For example, Patrick drove his car from Vancouver to Seattle. Patrick drove his car from Vancouver to Seattle.
All right, so we see them in maybe the future, and they see something really strange. They keep seeing these cars.
Yeah.
They're driving by themselves.
Or flying.
Or flying by themselves.
Weird.
Yeah, but then they also see a robot, and this robot says, "Excuse me, do you need some help?" Okay, a robot. We see this a lot in movies. Robot is spelled R-O-B-O-T, robot. A robot is a noun. Now, they can be real or imaginary machines controlled by a computer, and they're made to do many, many, many things. Sometimes robots are made to look like humans or animals. For example, we can say, this robot can clean the floor for you. This robot can clean the floor for you.
Robots, flying cars, they are seeing some definitely strange things that you wouldn't find in the world today. Okay. Well, Shia sees the robot and then he says, it's a robot. He's very surprised. Most of the robots he might have seen worked in a factory and didn't talk or help people. And then he asks a really good question. Is it dangerous? Is it dangerous, he's asking? Is it going to hurt us? Should we be scared? Should we be running away? He doesn't know.
That's a really good question to ask because when you're in a strange place, in a new place, you want to be extra careful. So we see he's being kind of careful here. But Roxy replies him. She says, it looks friendly. And she says, hi there. Okay, so hi there is just a greeting. It just means, hello, how are you? There is just to maybe to say, you, person over there. So hi there is just another way to say hi. We also saw the word friendly. It's spelled F-R-I-E-N-D-L-Y, friendly. Friendly means to act like a friend. So if you're a friend, you're usually very kind and helpful to other people. For example, we can say, Kate is popular at school because she's very friendly. Kate is popular at school because she's very friendly.
All right, well, let's find out about this robot. The robot speaks next and says, I'm going to kill you. No, he doesn't say that. The robot says, hello, my name is Daniil. Are you two from out of town? I'm a tour guide robot. That is
friendly.
Definitely not too dangerous, okay? So the robot is very polite and friendly, it seems. He introduces himself. He tells us his name, which is Daniil. I'm saying he. I don't know if this is a boy robot. I guess I should say it.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure there's such a thing as a boy robot. Anyways, the robot then says, are you two, or asks, are you two from out of town? Okay, if you're from out of town, you're from somewhere else. You're visiting that place that is not your home. You could be there on holiday. You could just be traveling through. You could be there for business or some reason. But if it's not your hometown, then you are from out of town. You're from somewhere else. Could be in just another city in that country. It could be a completely different country. I guess it could be another time or another planet too, but generally it just means you're away from home if you're from out of town. And Daniil described himself as a tour guide robot. Well, a tour guide is someone who shows visitors to a place all around. They know a lot about the place. They give them some stories, some history. They show them all of the interesting things. If you go to a museum or you go to a big old famous city, you might want to have a tour guide who will be able to explain things, educate you, and give you more information while showing you the best parts of that place you are visiting.
Right. Okay, so Shia says, first of all, he wants to know where are they, and also exactly when
are
is it?
they?
Yeah, when are they?
When are they? Yeah.
So he says, Daniil, what's the date? Okay, so he's very curious. He really wants to know where he is. If I were him or Roxy, I would want to know too. I'd be very curious. Okay, so he asks, what's the date? Date is also a word power word. It's spelled D-A-T-E, date. Date is to talk about the time. So that means specifically which month and day it is. Okay, for example, we can say the date on the movie ticket was September 19th, 2016. The date on the movie ticket was September 19th, 2016.
So yes, they wanted to know the date. And well, Daniil the robot tells Roxy and Shia, It's February 8th. So it's the 8th day of the month of February. That's the date. It's February 8th. But he hasn't told us the year. That's what they really want to know.
That's what I want to know too.
Right.
And Roxy asks this question. She says, but what year is it? Yeah. So the date is very important. We know it's on February. We know it's on the 8th. But most importantly, what year is it? Because there's flying cars, there's robots.
Yes.
What year are we in?
We should point out that this is a slightly strange question from Roxy. Generally, if I said to Tiffany, hey, Tiffany, what's the date? And she would tell me the date, I wouldn't ask the year because I know what year it is. If you don't know that, something very strange is happening. But of course, if you're a time traveler like Roxy and Shaya, knowing the year is very important. But for most people, if someone asks you the date, they really just want to know the month and the day.
But for them, it's a special case.
Yes.
Okay, but here, let's take a look at our magic box because there's a lot of differences. What's the date? What year is it? So hard to figure out, but let's take a look to learn more.